most people that are hiring fitness coaches aren't in that position. They're kind of overweight. They're kind of weak. They don't like how they look. They've hit a plateau. So the reason they've hit those plateaus is because they've taken these approaches and they do them these little blocks, like really motivated, results, drop off, gain weight back. Really motivated, results, drop off, gain weight back. So when you kind of explain that to them and just kind of help them zoom out mentally, they tend to see the bigger picture. And most importantly, that frequent communication and asking them the right question. Like, do you see yourself sticking to this long term? Right?
Yeah.
Is this something that you can do? Did you feel like you were messing up on your diet because you hadn't been out on a date night with your wife for a month, and you guys went out and you guys had a couple drinks and you had like Italian food or whatever, and you came home and you got right back on track with your next meal, or you got right back on track the next day? Did that affect your long-term results? Because odds are it probably didn't, right?
Yeah. And
now when we go like all in, like 100%, and we're taught to go all in, right? With business, with certain things, we should go all in, right? But when it comes to that emotional standpoint and your human physiology and your habits, that's kind of a difficult thing to tackle, right? So if we go all in on this like super restricted, rigid diet, and then fast forward a few months or maybe a month or 6 months, depending on how long you can actually stick to it, you realize that it sucks, you hate it. A lot of times people look and feel terrible because they're crash diets essentially. And then they just think, that didn't really work for me. And then they go back to their old habits.
Yeah.
Don't have it.
It's all about having a little patience for the process, right? And sustainability. What I hear you saying is sustainability, developing a lifestyle and a pattern that is sustainable, and you don't feel that massive failure because you had a date night. We need those, right? But also understanding the next day you can go back to that sustainable long-term lifestyle that's healthy and hits all those targets that you need to hit.
Exactly, right. And I believe I coined the term flexibility for sustainability, right? You just got to be careful with who you tell that to, because you tell that to someone that already has terrible habits around food, and they hear it and they go, coach told me to be flexible, so I'm just being flexible. And then they're flexible too much and they haven't seen any progress, right?
Right. Yeah, no, good point. Hey, I want to touch on something else, and it's really what prompted me to reach out to you. Your videos that you do on Instagram, and they're helpful videos, by the way, but they're absolutely fucking hilarious, right? I'm watching your personality. Well, first of all, I see your posture. You're tatted, you're strong, you're intimidating. But then I watched the actual video. I'm like, holy cow, this guy's a comedian. Where did that come from? Your stage presence back in the day, or where did that come from?
Yeah, that's funny. It's kind of the Jekyll and Hyde, right? Like you see like the dark images with like the message about masculinity and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wow, that guy's bouncing around his gym, like being funny.
Yeah.
I think stage presence probably had something to do with it. I started touring in bands when I was 15. I played my first concert at 14, so I was still developing as a person then. But I think that mostly my humor comes from two places. One, I grew up in a British household. My mom's British, and I grew up in Britain partially. So really witty kind of humor, outgoing. But the main thing is that I was a fat kid. And I covered that up by a personality, right? By being the funny fat kid, right? Hey, people won't notice that I'm fat if I'm just funny. Right?
Yeah.
They'll stop making fun of me if I can make them laugh. So I think that's probably where it honestly came from. Like after like lots of reflection and digging, like, oh yeah, that's why I try to be funny and outgoing a lot of the time.
Well, what's interesting, and this is a compliment to you. I've had over 300 guests on my show in the last 3 years. And I get a fair amount of requests to be on the show, and a lot of them are in the fitness industry. I do a little research, and nobody really stands out. And from a business perspective and what you're offering, you stood out because you made me laugh. You took a different approach to fitness. But then when I really dug in, there was a ton of value there. So again, this is a compliment to you. What I love is you did a video on how to do push-ups the right way, right? And I know that if you're obviously I don't have a bunch of Lions Den members in this in my listening forum, but they just had a push-up challenge, and I don't know if you were timing it for that or not. But what was interesting is a lot of people don't know how to do push-ups, And my wife found your video. She was like, "Hey, you got to check this guy out. I'm following his push-up style, right?" So, how are you? It's interesting. You've nailed it on the head. The videos that you've chosen to offer out that are needed. So, push-ups, for example. Why did you decide to do the push-up video and some of these others? Because they're very educational and needed.
Yeah. So the push-up one specifically, I'll be honest, and not to offend anyone in the Lions Den. That right now, I'm looking at my gym. It's 10 feet away from where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
So I saw this challenge pop up when it was on the group call essentially.
Yeah.
And I saw a whole bunch of terrible push-up videos on there. I mean, and from fitness people.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, guys, like let's fix this. And then so yeah, I was like, I'm gonna go do this. It takes me 10 minutes to do that, right? It's not a big deal. So I said, hey, let me help people out here in the Lions Den, right? And I got an amazing response. The timing was perfect for it. Every other video is kind of like I was saying earlier, like when I first started becoming a personal trainer, I trained in person. Now I do only online. I worked at 24-hour fitness for almost 4 years. And I accumulated over 10,000 hours of one-on-one personal training sessions.
Wow.
So you get to see common faults, human movement patterns, body types, and that's just exercise, right? And then you get to see habits and mindsets and relationships to food and relationships to the process and all these different personality types. So really, I mean, to be fully transparent, what I'm doing is just correcting things that I see on a daily basis. And I'm correcting the things that I see within people I would like to help, the people I help best.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I've spent a lot of time in the gym too. And I was very fortunate at a young age. I had an older brother that had a fantastic fitness coach in the football program that taught him all the basics and what to do and what not to do. And this is in the early 80s. So what's interesting is how bad things have evolved on the what to do and what not to do. Because now when I go to the gym, it's like, who taught you that? Like, you're not even close to doing that right. You're going to hurt yourself. And so I feel like I was very fortunate. So I think that's what resonated with me about your videos is that you take people back to those core fundamental ways of doing these exercises that have been around for years, but yet have gotten so wrong over a period of time.
Yeah, and we're just talking about a push-up. Imagine when we get more technical, like a back squat or a deadlift.
Yeah.
Most people just think, well, I just put on my back and squat. Like there's so much that goes into that. Mechanical tension and neural drive. These are terms that people I've never even heard of before.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're absolutely crucial to dialing in your technique and getting A, the biggest bang for your buck, the best results from that exercise, and B, minimizing injury potential.
Yeah. It's funny. I had a coach. He developed me into a world champion Spartan racer in my 50s. So recently. But, there's some exercises that he says, we don't touch that exercise. We have no business doing that exercise, right? It's not good for your back. It's not good for your shoulders. And you go to the gym and you see everybody dwelling on that exercise. You're going, oh my God. No wonder he won't even allow me to even think the word CrossFit. He's like, there is so much wrong going in that society over there. And it's not that it's a bad sport, but they don't take the time to develop the discipline in their athletes and their students, and people are getting hurt left and right. And that's, so again, I watch your videos like, thank goodness somebody's teaching the right way to do something.
Yeah, I've fixed a lot of CrossFitters, man. And, it is a sport at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So, imagine seeing something like boxing and going, I want to do that to get fit, and you just go sign up for a boxing match, right? There are some CrossFit gyms I've observed that they have like novice class and they take time, but they're not that many comparatively. And then, we've got these highly technical, the most technical barbell movements we do, snatch and clean and jerk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The Olympic lifting movements. And they get out of shape mom, out of shape dad. All right, you're doing 21 of those. And then you're going to jump up on this really high box.
Yeah.
It's so many injuries there. Now,
max out on day 2, right?
Yeah, right. If you look at the best Olympic weightlifters, or even some of the best lifters in general, they're doing technique way more than they are near max effort loads.
Mm-hmm.
right? Especially the Chinese Olympic weightlifters, they're doing thousands and thousands and thousands of reps with the bar only. And these people typically only max out and test themselves during the events.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you've got social media or CrossFit, which is basically just like a highlight reel of everyone's thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, I want to do what that guy's doing. He just posted a video of his max effort deadlift and he pulled 800 pounds. He must do that every week. No, man, he climbed up to that. He peaked to it. And I guarantee you, if that's a PR for him, or he did it at a powerlifting meet or strongman event, whatever it is, he's dialing it back. He's going into a postseason recovery phase. He's going into a deload phase, and he's going to chill out a little bit until he starts ramping it back up to peak again, probably.
Yeah, it's only the high. It's a good point. It's only the highlight. I worked with Bill Walton for a number of years, who's top NBA player of all time. And a lot of people ask him about different moves and about Michael Jordan, and he says, something to understand about Michael Jordan. You see that move, where that Nike swoosh, right? He's jumping through the air, and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, Michael was the best because he had that move." The fact is, Michael never practiced that move. Michael practiced the basics every single day, hour upon hour upon hour, and he will tell you, he says, the reason why I did that is because when I needed to pull a move off like that particular one, I had the ability to do it because I knew the basics. And I think people just get so far away from the basics. So thank you, bless you for teaching the basics and the right way to do them.
Yeah, no, thanks. They're super crucial. I mean, I can get most people's lifts to go up if we just dial in technique and some bracing techniques.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you don't need to do this extensive, like crazy, brand new routine or anything that's like highly advanced. You look at the advanced lifters too. Michael Jordan's a great analogy. Any advanced lifter, they're doing the basics.
Yeah.
And they're not going overboard. They're not overreaching.
Yeah. By the way, I've seen some of the pictures which is more than likely your gym. I've got a home gym at my house. You can have more than enough in your home environment to get a great workout. You don't need to go sign up for the latest, greatest gimmicky gym down the road or whatever you think it's going to take. I've got a lot of band stuff downstairs at my place and some very simple weights, but I've gotten some of the best workouts I've ever had in my life. Can you touch on that real briefly as we kind of wrap this thing up? I mean, I want to encourage people to get working out, but don't feel like you got to get too fancy on it.
Yeah. You don't need, you don't need a $2,500 Peloton, right? You don't need all this fancy equipment. So, most people that say, hey, let's start with a rack, a bench, and barbell with some plates, right? You want to add some dumbbells later, we're good to go for quite a while, right? Yeah. So my main pillars in my gym are rack, plates, bar, bench, and dumbbells. And then I've got some kettlebells and maces and clubs and stuff like that. And those are just like the kind of things I like to add eventually, and plenty of bands, GHD, Echo Bike. You really don't need a whole lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you think about, if you do go to a gym and you see the biggest, strongest, leanest person there, what are they using? Right? They're using some basic equipment. Right?
Yep. They're not doing all the fancy stuff. That's for sure.
No, not fancy stuff. I will say, so I love having a home gym, doing it on my own time, don't have to travel anywhere. I can film in there. I film a lot for clients too, not just social media. But if you find the right gym, the environment can be very encouraging.
Sure.
Right? You get into the right gym around the right people. That can be very motivational. And you kind of morph into what those people are like, right? And you pick their brain, and they're generally pretty helpful. And I think a lot of people are intimidated to go by to a gym where there's like freak strong people, right? Because it's intimidating, especially if you're a novice. And I get it, because they're in their zone and they don't necessarily want to talk to anyone, right? The headphones on, they're spinning weights and stuff. But if you give them the time of day, or they notice that you're actually putting in work, I guarantee you, odds are they're going to be very friendly and helpful to you.
Yeah, for sure. Ethan, I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you're doing. It says on your Instagram, no bullshit, basically, fitness and nutrition, right?
Yeah.
So I will post up your Instagram handle. Do you have a website for what you do?
Yeah, I can send that to you too.
Yeah, I'll get it all posted up on the show notes. If you're listening and you want some one-on-one coaching, or you want some good humor, please follow Ethan. Show notes will have where to follow him at. I've enjoyed it. I love what he stands for. I love what he's doing. I can see you going a long ways in the fitness world. I don't know how long you've been doing it, but clearly you're resonating with an audience, and it's just a matter of time before you start blowing up. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you too. It's coming up in my 8th year, and it's just better and better every year, especially the more I stick to it and try at it. I'll say this: my Instagram, I think it might have